Today I'm going to be talking about the reasons why Squid Game Season 3 is a piece of art. Don't get me wrong, Squid Game Season 3 has its issues. It's not the best TV show of all time, but you also have to bear in mind that there was only one season written of Squid Games. And he wrote a really good Season 2 and an amazing Season 3. And he also didn't stray from his original message, and he tried to please everyone. Because I know there are some people that only watched Squid Game for the games, and that's fine. I mean, but he still pleased them. Um, I've seen a lot of people say like Alice in Borderland is better than Squid Game, um, but Alice in Borderland season 2 was an absolute hot pile of shit. Season 1 of Alice in Borderland, I agree, it's amazing, but do I think Alice in Borderland is better than Squid Games? No. Do I think it can become better than Squid Games? I don't think anymore, because season 2 was so bad. But maybe they redeem themselves in season 3. I have an open mind for that, and I'm willing to see if that happens, but I'm not really hopeful about it. Not gonna lie. Um, but I'm gonna go over some of the positives about season 3 Squid Games and some of the negatives. I think the positive thing about season 3 is you get the games, you still have characters that you somewhat like. You also have characters you hate, but I feel like in season 2 of Squid Game, you just had Thanos carrying it all. I mean, season 2 was, I agree, was weaker. Season 1 way weaker even. But Thanos was still an amazing character, and I think he carried it for the majority of the second season. And I still enjoyed the second season overall, but I do think season 3 is better for multiple reasons. One of them being you see the tragic story of the grandma and the son, and her having to kill him in order to save the baby and the mother. Um, and that is such a strong message too that she's also ridden with guilt about it and she ends her life because of it. I think it all makes sense. There's so much in the third season that makes sense. His entire message, the entire message of the writer, was about both poor people and the two rich people have miserable lives. The rich people are so rich that they lose passion for stuff. They are so desperate for fun, value, love, but it's so hard for them to get it that they will literally create a game where they use people as animals just to entertain themselves. And the other message in Squid Game is about the poor. They are so desperate to be rich and they look up to this ideal illusion that being rich means you will be happy, you won't have any issues, and they they are so desperate to not feel this depression they have, some of them at least, and this feeling of having failed in life, and they think that money will solve all of it. And that's also the key focus point in Squid Games is that the greed overcomes the poor in the games. They lose their compassion with poor people. You can see this by the way they vote, by the way that they are willing to actually kill a baby just to get more money. And that's the entire amazing part about Squid Game Season 3. In the end, it shows you that Seon-Gi dies and that there is no winner in Squid Games, which is the entire point. Neither the rich win because sure they will feel some kind of enjoyment out of watching the games for a little bit, but after that they go back to their empty lives, shallow lives, and they will be bored again. And the poor lose too because all of them lost, all of them are dead, and nobody wins the money. Nobody that wanted the money wins the money. The reason why I like Seon-Gi dying, well, I don't like it. I think it's really sad. It even made me cry in the when I was watching the episode. But you feel so bad for him. He loses two. He loses his best friend and a really close friend in two of the games he participated in, and he doesn't do it for the money. He's just trying to end the games, and he gets depressed eventually because he realizes there is nothing he can do that will get these people to stop the games, get out with their money, and save them all, which is all he's trying to do. And eventually, he even has to sacrifice himself just to make a point. And that's beautiful. It's not like in you have these other you have this game, for example, The Last of Us, in which they kill off the main character and everybody hated it because there was so much more in that character than the writer made out to be. And everyone loved that character and he made the entire game. But in Squid Games, sure, he's your favorite character. Sure, you're cheating for him to survive and even end the games if you can. But that's not the point in Squid Games. The point about Squid Games is that it's a fucked up thing that happens where both classes of society just lose and there is no victor in Squid Games, even if you win, which was the point of season 1. Even though he won, he was miserable, he hated life, he even didn't want to use the money. He ends up using all the money just to put an end to Squid Games. And they show you that even after winning Squid Games, if you're anywhere near being a good person, you will still hate your life, even though you are rich. Um, I also have some negative things about season 2, of course. Um, the most annoying thing, in my opinion, is that we still have no clue, basically, why the frontman is the way he is. Why did he give up his family, basically? Why did he decide to become the frontman? Even though he won the Squid Games, as is shown in the third season. Why did he forsake everything? But he still wants to protect his little brother, which is the really interesting point. And I think they tried to make that over in like the last episode that he changed back to an older version of himself. But is he still the front man? I think so myself, yes. Do we know for sure? No. Really annoying plot hole. But it's also, in a way, a genius move of the writer to not expose everything about the frontman and leave this mystery about him. The other really negative part for me was the VIPs, their English, which is just beyond cringe. I don't get why they couldn't just like get American actors and have them speak normal English with like Korean subtitles for the Korean fan base, because I don't even think they spoke in such a way for the Korean watchers, because I have watched a lot of K dramas and they never have like such English. They have like cringe English and it's really bad in pronunciation and everything, but it's not the level of Squid Games, which is really weird. Even the British guy in Squid Games doesn't sound fucking British. I don't I don't understand how you manage that even. So yeah, I think I kind of talked about everything that is good and bad about Squid Games. I still, in my opinion, Squid Games is like a solid 9.5. Squid Games season 3. I think season 1 was like a 9.7, and I think season 2 was like a 9.2 or a 9.1. Because I still think it carried on strongly the fashion which made season 1 great without straying off the pad or anything. He didn't change anything just to please fans. He wrote what he wanted to write, and I think he did it brilliantly. He still came up with, well, he didn't come up with the games, but you know what I mean. He picked great games. It was still exciting to watch every game, wondering who will survive, and what will happen to some characters. Um, I also think like the last game is the entire reason people are so fucked up about Seon-Gi dying, because they tell you in advance only 3 people need to die, like, and eventually just player 333 fucks it all up. But that's what also makes it beautiful, because at the start of the last game, player 333 isn't gonna do what he ends up doing in the last part of the game. In the first part, he's still about saving the baby, getting out with money, and making sure the baby has a good future. Which I still believe he was his goal. This was his goal for the entire show up until the last round, at which point his greed takes over. But that's also what makes it beautiful, because he's even willing to kill off his own child just to win the money at the end. And the entire time they show you the struggle he has with him wanting to win money and him wanting to do well for the mother and the baby. He wants to save the baby and the mother. Like, he's sincere about that, and that is shown in the hide and seek game. And that's what makes him like a perfect example of the entire message. Also, it's the entire message in Squid Games is also that greed can overcome rationality. Greed can overcome compassion and love when it really comes down to it. In the Squid Games, because of the Squid Games, that would have never happened if it weren't for the Squid Games. He never would have changed like that. But that's the entire transformation that happens in Squid Games, which makes him such a good character. Even though I hated him for doing what he did, because he kills the grandpa for no reason, let's be honest. He should have just let the grandpa live and the other guy live with the broken leg, and just moved on to the next round, kill the grandpa, the other guy. Well, if the grandpa even went dead, but he would have if the guy with the broken leg would have been carried on to the next stage, I guess. But then again, it's hard to say if the guy with the broken leg wouldn't have tried to get off the building, even if they tried to do that. So I think that's the entire point too. Like the guy would have never gone to the last round, and the grandpa might have killed himself because of that, because he wouldn't have allowed them to kill him. I still think Seon-Gi should have tried to activate the button for the last round. Um, but that's it's genius. Like they die for no reason, basically, and that's the whole point about Squid Games. They die for no reason. They die because of greed, and Chung Gi-hoon complains about everything, but at the end of the day, the message of player 001, the billionaire, still stands. They signed up for it. They willingly put themselves in the Squid Games. They could have stopped it at any point. They didn't. So, even though we as a viewer feel bad, you also have to think about this message the entire time. Because that's the core message. It's like they went in there of their own free will. They weren't forced, and they could have ended it at any point, and they didn't because the greed overcame them. They lacked the compassion, the need to survive, I guess. All because of the greed. Um, and yeah, that's the entire point about Squid Games. It's not about the games at all. It's all about being rich is miserable, being poor is miserable, and both of them will do anything to feel something in their life, to get a feeling of accomplishment in life, and to get rid of the feeling that there's something missing in their life. I think that's about everything I wanted to say about Squid Game Season 3. But I felt like I had to make this video because I've seen so much hate for Season 3 and Season 2 as well. But Season 2 I can get behind more than Season 3. I don't see any way the writer could have ever made a better Season 3 than he did. um, like without straying from his original core message. Um, I think that's what makes it beautiful. You just end up after watching the final, you end up feeling empty, sad because Chung Gi-hoon died, and you just wonder and you think about so many other scenarios that could have happened. And that's what makes it brilliant. I've never had such a feeling after finishing a show. I've never been so stun locked for like an hour after the show, wondering about all these things, and even rewatching some of the scenes just to like feel it again. Yeah, it's a piece of art in my opinion. It's definitely one of the best shows I've ever seen. I still think I enjoyed watching The Walking Dead in its prime more, but for different reasons. But yeah, it's a Korean masterpiece, and it's definitely up there in some of the best TV ever made. Yeah, that's about everything I want to say about it. Peace!